Hello, I'm Lori Steiner, sitting in for Armin Budish. Welcome to Golden Opportunities.
Today, let's give our new healthcare system a checkup and find out if it needs a shot in the arm. Then, great financial offers abound, but are they money makers or money takers? We'll investigate investment fraud. Then, we have an upbeat report on a new procedure that's helping folks with atrial fibrillation. Plus, he wrote the book on Akron with an attitude. We'll meet the columnist who creates those comical and cutting commentaries. And we'll help you protect your home and life savings from nursing home costs.
It's time to get GOing, so pull up a chair and join us at our kitchen table for Golden Opportunities. New Year's Day was a little over a month ago, so how are you doing with all those New Year's resolutions? If you're like most of us, some kind of health resolution was on that January 1st list, and maybe it's already been broken. Cindy Baylog is here to help us get back on track by refocusing our resolutions. Cindy is the Health and Wellness Coordinator for Medical Mutual of Ohio. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
This is great information. How come we so often renege on our resolutions?
Well, too often we have health resolutions that are too vague and long-term and non-specific, so it sets us up for defeat. If we actually have a health goal of, I want to lose 50 pounds this year, or I want to be healthier in 2014, these are all or nothing, long-term, and not specific. The problem with these health and fitness goals is that they are achieved too far in the future. Because of this, we have trouble staying focused and maintaining that positive attitude needed to actually accomplish that goal. And we're not specific enough to get there.
Okay, so how do we rewrite the resolutions so they are more specific?
Well, instead of saying, I want to lose 50 pounds or I want to be healthier this year, try being more specific and measurable. Change the all or nothing, very vague goals into more specific tasks and lifestyle changes that you can make.
Okay, well, do you have some examples for us?
Sure. Try stating some specific steps that you can actually envision yourself doing. Here are a few examples. I will walk 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. I will eat breakfast every day. I will limit myself to 1 can of soda per day. I will read food labels and try to keep my sodium intake to under 2,300 milligrams. I will practice deep breathing techniques when I feel stressed. Or I will sleep 7 hours per night.
Okay, now those are very specific. But what if the resolution really is to lose 50 pounds? So
Sure.
How do you mentally bring that down to something more specific?
Well, if you actually put your health resolution into more manageable steps, it will help you to actually get there. And you can do that by listing out very specific things, and that will help you to stay motivated and actually accomplish those things.
So if you're trying to lose 50 pounds, it may be I'm going to eat less. I'm going to take my lunch to work every day, or I'm going to eat less food for dinner, or I'm going to weigh myself once a week, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, focusing on those smaller steps makes you feel like you're accomplishing something.
Okay, because my goal is kind of this year to lose some weight, and I've actually got a little app on my phone, and it helps me keep track of everything.
Yeah,
so
those can be helpful.
you need something specific like that.
Definitely.
These smaller, consistent steps make a lot of sense.
Definitely.
I mean, it helps you stay on track, one thing after another, just like a to-do list.
Yes.
But nobody's perfect. What if you fail again and again and again? I mean, is it all over with at that point?
Yeah, everybody does fail sometimes, but the important thing is that you pick yourself back up and you focus on those small steps. Every day, try again and just continue to focus on it. And ultimately, you'll be able to reach your goal.
So it's, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
There you go, you got it.
So I think these are really important steps for anybody to try to keep their resolutions.
Definitely.
We were talking before about people who go to the gym and start out strong and go every day for a couple of weeks, but lose sight of the big picture, I think, and then just stop going, or they get exercise equipment for their holidays and they stop doing it. Any tips for people to kind of pick things back up again?
Yeah, I would say just try 5 minutes a day. Start small. If you can achieve 5 minutes, maybe you can motivate yourself to add 10 minutes to that. And if you have those small steps, you can eventually, get up to 30 minutes per day.
Okay, good advice. Manageable steps can equal resolution success. Follow Cindy's tips to make this your healthiest new year ever. And my congratulations to Cindy for successfully keeping her resolution to join us today.
Find out more about Medical Mutual of Ohio by visiting their website, www.medmutual.com. Next, scanning for scams. But first, the Winter Olympics are underway, continuing a timeless tradition. However, one Olympiad was ousted due to World War II. If the Games had gone on, where would the athletes have fought to the finish in 1940? We'll award you the winning answer when we return.
My husband and I got into the car and we couldn't do it. We couldn't pick one baby over the other. Coming to Metro changed the entire pregnancy. We actually started to become happy with our situation. We owe a big thank you to Metro. I can't imagine our family without Sam.
In 1940, we were fighting for freedom, and World War II stopped the Olympics from starting. If the supreme sporting event had been held, the hosting city for the games that award gold, silver, and bronze would have been Tokyo, Japan.
We know that if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But red flags don't always fly up to warn us to walk away. So, how do you know when an investment is the real deal and when it's really a flagrant fraud? Jim Lineweaver is here with advice to help us avoid costly mistakes. Jim is a certified financial planner with the Lineweaver Financial Group. Hi, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
All right, so what are the top kinds of investment frauds that we should be really aware of?
Yeah, because there's a ton of them out there, so you really got to be careful. And the internet has not made this easy. But it's basically going to come down to three different main issues that are out there. One's going to be your pyramid or your Ponzi scheme.
Okay.
There's also something called pump and dump, which we'll talk about. Yep. And then lastly, there's a lot of people from offshore, type of areas or countries that are trying to get at American investors and their money. So
the money.
Exactly.
That's the key there.
Yeah.
So, let's do them one at a time. We'll start with the pyramid or the Ponzi schemes. That's what Bernie Madoff made. He's famous for. So, how exactly does that work?
Yeah. Well, what ends up happening is it's a pyramid scheme where they're going to pull investors' money and they may try to promise you some type of rate of return, but as the owner of this whole thing is taking money off the top, he's relying on new money come in to keep the wheel going or that greasy wheel turning, and that's the problem. So some of the things that you want to do is just make sure you're never cutting a check to individual people like that, and we'll provide some other tips at the end of the show here
Okay,
today.
well, that's good. How about pump and dump? I mean, is that like they get you all pumped up to invest, and then as soon as you get in there, they dump you?
Yeah, and it's not just a phone call anymore where you're getting a click. Now today with the internet, what they're going to do is in blogs and different things that are out there, they're going to buy some penny little stock for 2 or 3 cents, and then they're going to get a bunch of news out there making it look really good. You got to get on this latest and greatest deal. You can buy 1,000 shares for a little bit of money.
And if it's on the internet, it's got to be true.
It's got to
right?
be true, right? Yeah, and then they're going to pump that stock up, get a lot of people in because of the demand, and then they're going to pull out and left everybody else with an empty bag.
So they make the money.
Yes, and they're gone, and there's really no substance to the story behind the investment.
Okay, well, that's an interesting new one to me. And how about offshore scams? I mean, we all know Cayman Islands. That means trouble, right? Is it something different than that?
Well, you're just going to stretch that out to a little more depth because it can really come from any country. You hear about people that, are stuck somewhere, or even sometimes if they raid your email, there's been emails that could come from friends saying that they were stuck overseas and they can't get back, and so that's all fraudulent. So be very suspect through anything that comes by email, and phone solicitation is dropped off dramatically with the do not call list and everything, which is good.
Yeah,
but we
important.
don't have that same protection on the internet these days. So be careful. Whenever you're dealing with something like that, you got to check on the substance and really do your due diligence today more than ever before.
Okay. Well, are there any tip-offs that, we could be looking at that you might be falling for one of these kind of scams?
Yeah, sure. One is really high guarantees, and that's what you got to be careful with. Hey, I'm going to give you 20% a year and guarantee you that for 10 or 20 years. That's huge. Obviously, it's too good to be true, especially in a huge volatile volatile market. There's also overly consistent returns, which means I am going to be, promising you something, or here, look at my track record, and you really got to provide some more validity to that, or do some background checking, because you can promise the world, but the delivery is where it all comes into play. And then really accounting discrepancies, because in the Madoff case, there were statements that were printed. You did receive them at home, and what ends up happening is doing two things. One, never cut a check to the individual companies. You always make them, or to the advisor house, make them to the known institution, and double check your statements with what's online. Make sure those transactions really match up.
For more information, too, you have some seminars coming up, right?
We do, yeah. We have two covering this and many more topics. It's going to be on Tuesday, February 18th at 1 p.m. and also Thursday, February 20th at 6:30 p.m. and it is free to all your viewers to attend.
All right. That's really great information. Now, you might think, oh, I would never fall for a scam, but scammers are more clever and more careful than they ever were. So follow Jim's advice to avoid financial fraud. Come to the seminar. And if you need even more help, give him a call. His number's coming up next.
For more information, call the Lineweaver Financial Group at 1-888-313-4009 or log on to www.lineweaver.net. Next, making sure the beat goes on. Looking for places to go, things to do? Welcome to our community calendar. Feeling muddled over Medicaid matters? Then plan to attend one of our 4 free seminars presented by the lawyers of Budish, Solomon, Steiner, and Peck. On Monday, February 17th, choose 2 p.m. at the Beechwood Law Offices or 7 p.m. at the Holiday Inn Rockside. On Wednesday, February 19th, plan on the Middleburg Heights Rec Center at 2 p.m. or the Westlake Rec Center at 7 p.m. For details, call 1-888-236-5173 or click to www.budishandsolomon.com.
Thump, 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 thump. A regular heartbeat is something most of us take for granted. But if your heart has a mind, or should I say beat, of its own, the consequences can be catastrophic. Dr. Ohad Ziv is here today with hopeful help for many hearts affected by arrhythmia. Dr. Ziv is the head of cardiac electrophysiology, I don't know how you say that every day, and the director of Atrial Fibrillation Center at Metro Health. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So we're talking about heart and hiccups, I guess, of the heart. So what are these hiccups we're talking about?
So these are not just your ordinary hiccups. Everyone has extra beats. Everyone's heart occasionally skips a beat. We're talking about atrial fibrillation, or people call AFib. This is when the top chamber of the heart becomes totally disorganized into electrical activity. And that has a lot of potential problems. One of the issues that can occur is that the top chamber stops pumping. The bottom chamber still pumps, but the top chamber, because the electrical activity is disorganized, is not pumping. And that means that the blood moves slower, and it means that certain parts of the heart, the blood can actually pool. If blood pools, blood clots. And if there are blood clots in the heart, you're at risk for stroke.
Bad news, yeah. So can't medicine lower the risk?
Absolutely. In fact, for most people, medications, anticoagulants, blood thinners, will reduce the risk of stroke. And in fact, will reduce the risk of stroke significantly. But not everyone can take blood thinners.
Sure.
Especially people who are at high risk of bleeding with blood thinners, because blood thinners thin the blood, therefore you can bleed. Or people who have already had problems with blood thinners and have had bleeding. They're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. They can't take blood thinners because they'll bleed, but yet we're telling them they're at a high risk for stroke.
Got to be some new approaches, right?
There are new approaches. Some of these new approaches are still not FDA approved, still in the pipeline, and there's some very exciting things coming down the line in a few years. But there is one approach that is available. It's FDA approved, and we're actually doing it at Metro.
And you've been doing it for a year or so, right?
Exactly, for a year or so.
Okay, so what's it called?
It's called the Lariat, and it's basically a loop or a lasso that goes around the spot of the heart that causes the clots, and that way prevents strokes.
Okay, you have a model here, so I assume you're going to show us where this pool of blood could be.
Yeah, so this is the heart, these are the bottom chambers and the top chambers over here, and this part of the top chamber, the left atrial appendage, this pouch here, this is the area that has the slowest flow during atrial fibrillation, and over 90% of people who have clots develop in the heart, we find them in the appendage.
Ooh. So how do you get in there for this lasso to rope it up?
Well, certainly you can open up someone's chest and major surgery and close this off, and that's a big surgery with big risk. And the new lariat procedure, we basically do a similar thing. We close off the left atrial appendage, but in a minimally invasive way.
Okay.
We put a catheter underneath the rib cage. Another catheter goes into the venous system, and these catheters then will deliver wires, one on the outside, one on the inside of the left atrial appendage. And these wires will meet together. Each one has a magnet tip. The magnets will stick together and hold the appendage tip. Once we have that appendage tip held, we have control of it. We can advance the lariat loop up and over to the neck of the appendage. We can find the right spot, cinch off the appendage, pull the wires back, and then release a suture that will literally tie it off.
Excellent. So is this something that is good for everybody who has atrial fib?
So for right now, not everyone. This is right now for people who have a relatively high risk for stroke without blood thinners, and at the same time have a high risk of bleeding.
Okay.
They can't have had open heart surgery because we can't get under the rib cage if they've had open heart surgery. They should have, they can't have significant kidney disease because we use dye and we don't want them to get in trouble.
Make something else worse.
Exactly. So with people with bleeding risk and they have high stroke risk, these are the people we're looking at. Now, in the future, theoretically, as more and more data is produced, this might be an option for more people. This might be an option for people who can take blood thinners but are worried about the theoretical risk of bleeding.
All right. Well, this is great information. I think we all have to know this. So the lariat device may just hog tie the issue of AFib, which would be a great thing for everybody. My thanks to Dr. Ziv for rustling up this information. And if you want to get some more information about this, call the number that's coming up next.
Find out more by calling Metro Health at 216-778-7800 or visit www.metrohealth.org. Next, a riotous rant of a read. It's time to get up and go, an exercise minute on golden opportunities.
Hello everybody, I'm Mike Carbon from Breakout Fitness, and today we're going to do a single arm crossover stretch to stretch our shoulders and our triceps. This is an excellent stretch that will allow us to warm up either before or after physical activity. We can also use it as a cool down. You ready to go?
Oh yeah.
All right, today we're just going to be standing. We're going to start with our right hand out in front of us. We're going to take our left fist and we're just going to place it at our right elbow and just pull across your chest. Straight across the chest. Feel a nice little stretch in the back of the arm and the shoulder. Okay, let's go ahead and switch sides now. Left hand out, right hand on fist, and pull across. Remember, hold it for a 5 to 10 count, and then relax. Deep breathing always helps with any kind of stretch. How you feeling?
I'm breathing.
You're breathing? All right, good job, everybody. Excellent. So now it's your turn to get up and go.
For your copy of the exercise booklet, please send $1 for postage to Golden Opportunities, 23240 Chagrin Boulevard, Suite 450, Beechwood, Ohio, 44122.
Depending on who you talk to, Akron Beacon Journal columnist Bob Dyer is funny or frustrating, clever or cantankerous, insightful or irritating. But the real headline is the awards he's won for his witty commentary on life all around us. And now he's gathered together his famous, or maybe infamous, columns into a collection titled Blimp Pilot Terrorizes Akron and Other Hot Air. For fans and even for foes, I guess, to enjoy. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
It seems a lot of people love your writing, even if they don't like what you're saying. They love the writing.
Yes and no. I actually had a publisher at one point who thought my columns were too negative and sarcastic, so he didn't even like the writing, much less the points I was trying to make.
Oh dear, hope it's not the current one.
I might be a little bit of an acquired taste, but I think one of the reasons I've been successful is I'm pretty mainstream. I think most people
can identify.
I look at this something, and sometimes I'll say things that they don't want to take a chance to say. I mean, one of the chapters is called Politically Incorrect. So I think a lot of things that people are thinking but not saying, I write about, and I think that strikes a chord with some folks.
Yeah, I would. So, but I have to ask you about the title of
Yeah,
the book.
yeah.
It's, what is it? Blimp Pilot Terrorizes Akron?
That would be me.
Might that by you?
That
Yeah,
would
I thought
be me,
maybe it
yes.
was you.
This came about because I wrote a sarcastic column about the bus system, the Metro bus system, which just gotten this fancy satellite system where they announce the upcoming stops, next stop Main Street. They spent a fortune on it, so I criticized it. Much to my surprise, the head of the bus company said, hey, would you like to try driving a city bus? Take it out and drive it around some pylons, and I did, had a good time. Then I got a call from somebody who said, would you like to drive a locomotive? There's like a 2-mile stretch in Kent where they move limestone around, so I went out and drove the locomotive, and that was fun.
Cool. You get
Honked
to
the
go
horn a
out
lot.
and do things.
Yeah, yeah. Then I got to drive a dragster, Dragway 42 in West Salem, and at the end of that column I said, maybe I should give this up. If I go any faster, I'll be airborne. Speaking of which, I've always kind of wanted to ride the Goodyear blimp.
Sure.
So they called me up, and I thought I'd just get a ride, which was great. I know people who've worked there for 30 years who've never gotten a chance to ride it, so I was thrilled just to ride it. I'm sitting in the co-pilot seat, and he goes, okay, take it over. And I looked at him and said, are you kidding me? So I got to do it. There was a joystick, the model I was in, and he said, just like a computer game, move it where you want it to go. So I moved it left, nothing happened. Moved it right, nothing happened. What I didn't realize is it's not like a boat. It's this big bag of air that just floats around, and it's a delayed reaction. So I was flipping it back and forth. Pretty soon the whole blimp is going like this. Photographers flopping around in the back like a fish. It was a nice fall day in October, and we were coming up toward the Rubber Bowl in Akron, where the University of Akron football team used to play, and they were just finishing up a game. And as we're approaching, the pilot said, the whole point of this blimp is so people can read the advertising, so we need to bring it down. You're a little too high. Well, the one direction it works is down. You go push down and it goes down. And I'm looking at these people in the Rubber Bowl looking up, thinking they're probably in the movie Black Sunday. So that was my little terrorism
My goodness.
in Akron. That was fun.
You write a lot about sports, too. Even though you're not a sports writer, you wrote a book with Omer Vizquel. I think it's because you love sports, right?
I do.
Cleveland sports, even?
Cleveland sports is a little difficult to love at times. I quote Chris Rose, the TV personality, as saying, Cleveland sports fans are 90% scar tissue.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
So, but on the other hand, it's a shared experience. I mean, I was just saying before that as bad as the Browns have been, I'm riveted to the games every week, and I think a lot of other folks are too.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I played sports and watched sports and enjoy it, and there's a chapter about sports in there.
All right. Sounds like it's going to be a good book that strikes a chord with everybody. So Bob Dyer's book, Blimp Pilot Terrorizes Akron and Other Hot Air, will make you laugh, cry, shake your fists, and ultimately wonder why you didn't say it first. To order the book, use the information that's coming up next. My thanks to Bob for sharing his book and his perspective with us today.
To learn more or to order the book, call Gray & Company Publishers at 800-915-3609 or visit www.grayco.com. Next, don't go broke if your spouse gets sick.
Welcome to Breckenridge Village, a continuing care retirement community conveniently located in historic Willoughby, Ohio. Whether it's a luxury apartment, a spacious ranch home, or newly built brownstones, it's all here with the added security of knowing more care is available when you need it. Breckenridge Village offers an exciting and upbeat lifestyle, and the food is fabulous, and our staff makes you their #1 priority. Learn more about Breckenridge Village and come see our new Veal Wellness and Aquatic Center.
If your spouse must enter a nursing home, will you go bankrupt paying the bills, or is there any protection available? Here to help you avoid losing your entire life savings is my law partner, Mike Solomon.
Hi, Lori.
Hi, Mike. So we know nursing homes are expensive.
Yeah, nursing homes can run from as $6,000 a month to maybe up as much as $10,000 a month. So a middle-class family, that can eat through their money, make them use up all their money very, very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. How can the spouse and the community really survive?
Well, if they want to get Medicaid coverage, the rules are really, really complicated. So you need to really understand, or you can just end up, again, losing all your money. And there are 3 rules I'd like to talk about today.
Okay, first rule?
One rule deals with the house. Your house is a protected asset. So if let's say the husband goes to the nursing home, the wife, as long as she's living in the house, can keep the house for as long as she lives at that home.
Well, that's a good one. At least she doesn't have to be out on the street someplace, so that's a relief. How about cash and investments?
Okay, that's the second rule. Any of the stocks or bonds or mutual funds you have, IRAs, the life insurance, the cash value, add all that up, no matter who owns it. And the spouse at home gets to keep 1/2 of that amount up to a maximum of $117,240. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have $100,000 of assets. 50% of that is $50,000, so the wife at home, let's say, can keep $50,000. If instead they had, let's say, $300,000, well, half of $300 is $150,000. You're stuck with $117,240. You get to keep that.
Oh, man, that's not fair, is it?
No, that's right.
But you did say there were 3 rules, so what's the third rule?
Well, the third rule is the income rule. So typically when husband and wife, let's say husband goes in the long-term care facility, his income that he gets goes to the nursing home. The wife at home gets to keep her income. But let's say her income is really, really low. Well, there's a little-known rule that allows the wife at home to at least keep a minimum of $1,938 of income. So if she earns less than that through wherever she's getting her income from, she can get that income from the husband to get up to $1,938. And by the way, that amount is probably going to increase in 2 or 3 months, so beyond the income.
Even better news for people living at home.
And there is another rule that, depending on the circumstances, the spouse at home could possibly keep up to $2,900 a month.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah, even better. Even better.
All right, so lots of rules, very complicated. If your spouse goes to a nursing home, will you be left with nothing? No, not if you follow Mike's tips and understand the Medicaid rules. For more information, give Mike a call or come out to a free program in a couple of weeks. The number to call is next.
Call Budish, Solomon, Steiner, and Peck at 1-888-236-5173 for more information or to attend a free seminar on Medicaid and nursing homes. Or log on to www.budishandsolomon.com.
Where is it? Thanks for joining us on next week's show. Has living in your home become a bonus or a burden? We'll offer advice for right-sized senior living. We'll put your teeth in training to create a medal-worthy smile. Like the look of Downton Abbey? We'll demonstrate how to decorate in the style of the show. And if you're muddled about Medicaid, we'll have more help to manage it. Until then, please remember to make the most of your golden opportunities.
Would you like to join our kitchen conversation? All you have to do is call toll-free 1-877-765-1543 and leave us your question, name, and phone number. Or log on to www.golden.tv for all the latest information and show updates.